Everyone, this is Nikachu, and we're back to Modern. We're gonna figure out Modern, we're gonna crack the format, we're gonna beat all those decks, because you know why? Modern is back on the Pro Tour. We've brought it back, we beat those pros. The pros, they tried to take Modern off the Pro Tour, we brought it back, and we're gonna bring Merfolk back to the Pro Tour. But first, we're going to thank our sponsor, the Manabase.com, and don't forget, for all your Commander needs, if you want to figure out how to break Commander, go check out James LePage's The Metalworker on the Manabase.com. And I've got like a ton of new patrons. You guys have been flooding my inboxes with donations. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for your support, and also for all your support for me when I was at the Pro Tour. I absolutely loved everyone. I went to the Pro Tour for the people. Wish I could have represented better, but I'll be back, and I'll be better than before because of Modern on the Pro Tour. But we're going to thank all our patrons supporting me on Patreon. I'd love to thank Alan G. Parker, Adrian Diaz, Luke Renassinge, Brandon Gerardo Harding, Clayton Young, and Michael Wong. Thank you so much for joining the big wave. The wave is a tsunami. We're gonna destroy cities with this tsunami. It's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon. So now we're gonna look over here. Because we got to prepare Modern. There's a bunch of big Modern GPs over here, and I might have gone off a little bit on the deep end with this list, but we're gonna see how it plays out in this competitive league. I've only played in some friendlies, and I'm 9-1 with this thing. Half of those matchups were fringe, but let's go over the list. The most important thing is Smuggler's Copter. If you're in the Smuggler's Copter camp, you want to play 4. It is better game 1 than Silvergill Adept. It's just better. It smooths out the entire deck. It gets in for a lot of damage at the beginning of the game. It defends you better than any of your other creatures in the beginning of the game. And it is virtual card advantage. It is not literal card advantage like Silvergill Adept, but over turns, it turns into card advantage. And it can even bounce things like Oboro back to your... We can bounce Oboro back to our hand and then pitch it to Smuggler's Copter in order to draw more actual cards. We only need... And if we have a Vial out, then we may not even need any more lands. We just keep throwing them all away. But it is worth so much damage. And, 2, I think, was completely wrong. The reason 2 is wrong is because, originally I had it because I didn't want to be too weak post-board to Artifact Hate, and we know how much there is in Modern. But I think we should take an affinity-like stance or approach to the deck. Let's have a very good game 1. And then on game 2, we can shave the Smuggler's Copters because we know they're going to bring in Artifact Hate. If that's even a deck that brings in Artifact Hate. But let's have an amazing game 1. This card is protection from sweepers. Protection from... I just talked about everything that it does. It's an amazing card, the way it loots. And it gets in for so much damage early in the game. That we can eventually, when we do set up our creatures with our Merfolk, we finish them off very easily. Smuggler's Copter is a fantastic... I think this is the biggest sleeper in Modern. It's hands down the biggest sleeper in Modern. Now, don't go speculating on this card unless you want to speculate on foils, because there are so many copies out there, and even then, there's still only so many decks that could play this. But I think Death and Taxes could use this. I think Soul Sisters can use this. I know it has no synergy with the deck, but in moments when Soul Sisters can't do anything or they're getting all their creatures shot down, Smuggler's Copter can help grind back cards into their hand. So this thing is just an incredible card. I think, and I'm playing with 4 to find out, are we going to be too weak to Death Shadow? Because some Smuggler's Copter lists have done well. There was an SCG event with 500 or 600 people with a Smuggler's Copter list making top 4. I've had some success in the challenges with Smuggler's Copter, but overall the card hasn't broken through. But we're going to make it break through. This card is amazing. Whoops! Oh, I'm so sorry. This is not my real list. What else is supposed to be different? I don't think this guy's supposed to be here. We're going to bring in... That was all experimentation. Here. Oops. No, not the sideboard. Come back to the main, Curse Catcher. Is everything else correct? This is not correct. I was just upset at Valakut. Negate. Bringing Negate back. Okay. This is the list. Yeah, you didn't. Don't adjust your TV screen. This is actually in the deck. So let's go over a few more choices. So anyway, but Smuggler's Copter, this is really good, and I think it is. And I think the people who play Smuggler's Copter realize that it's super busted. And because it's so busted, we have to play with 4. And we're just going to be shaving copies post-board when we think it's going to be weaker. It is a really good Game 1 card. I think in Game 1, it is better than Silver Gilladept. It is simply better. It can be played off of any of these lands. It smooths out our entire deck, and even though we may not have as many post board, when we do have it post board, it helps us find all our sideboard cards way more reliably than it ever has before. Our deck, like another thing about Smuggler's Copter is Master of Waves is a 5-drop in our deck. We never can reliably cast it with our mana base. We cannot cast the thing on turn 4. Impossible. Not reliably. We'd have to be sort of flooding out. With 20 lands. Either we're playing it on turn 5 or 6 with lands, or the soonest we can get it in play is turn 5 with Aether Vial, because on turn 1 Aether Vial is on 0. So for that matter, Master of Waves is a relatively expensive card in our deck. Smuggler's Copter can help us dig for lands so that we can reliably cast Master of Waves on curve. Or anything on curve. Or anything that we need. Do we need lands? Do we need more creatures? Smuggler's Copter is there for us. Do we need more counterspells on our sideboard? Smuggler's Copter is there for us. It's smuggling all this stuff. We should take advantage of it. So I think, and the people who have played with Smuggler's Copter, you know it's busted. 4 copies. That's the way to go. So what else? Gemstone Caverns is core to the deck now. And here's the thing. Okay, so Hunter Nance, there's a bit of a debate between 19 and 20 lands. I'm on the 20 land side. But you take a look at Hunter Nance, he always plays with 19 lands, very successful with his lists. He doesn't have any trouble making the top, 2% of any field. Gemstone Caverns is like our 20th land. But you can make the argument, it's only going to do something like 5.5% of the time. That 5.5% is a huge difference. It makes a very big deal. Our curve basically starts on 2, not 1. These things are not so meaningful. Getting Smuggler's Copter on turn 1, or Silver Gilladept, sometimes even Harbinger of the Tides, or even getting the Lords immediately in play. Our deck is so clunky. 2 for winning ourselves is nothing compared to being able to steal the play from our opponent. And you think about all the times you mulligan, it's really not that big of a deal. Our deck mulligans a decent chunk of the time like any other deck. So I don't think getting 2 for 1 is all that big of a deal. John Kasari has plenty of success with this in Legacy, and I feel quite a bit of... I have had... First off, I have yet to ever get mana screwed with this card. But I have had great games where I drew this on the draw. They were way easier, way more powerful. Combination of Gemstone Caverns and Smuggler's Copter have given this deck so much more ease of use, and I think a lot more power. You look at Smuggler's Copter, we never have to consider combat, in math, at all, because it has flying. We don't have to think about, Snapcaster Mage can just come out of anywhere and then block it. No, it's going to fly over it, and so we can take a lot of the complication out of Merfolk out of the equation, while not... And we get more power. So I think get your Gemstone Caverns. In my opinion, I don't know how many this deck can handle. Right now I'm playing with 1, and I haven't been punished at all, and I have been rewarded a ton of times. So Gemstone Caverns, I think, is now core. I think everyone should be playing it. You can speculate on this all you want. This is the real deal. It's very good. It probably is better in a Smuggler's Copter deck, because in any... first off, we can cast Smuggler's Copter off of this. And if we ever draw it in the late game, we can always pitch it away with Smuggler's Copter. So we have a lot more control when this is useful or not. Because you could make the argument, when we draw it late, it's always a useless, colorless land. Well, not really. It could be a card that's going to get looted away with Smuggler's Copter. What else can I say about this? In decks, like for example, if we have this on the draw, I don't have to pay 2 life with Gutshot, and also it can because it adds any color mana when it has a luck counter on it. So maybe if for people who don't know what Gemstone Caverns is, if it's in your opening hand and you're not playing first, you may begin the game with Gemstone Caverns on the battlefield with a luck counter on it, and if you do, exile a card. And you add colorless mana with this, but if it has a luck counter, you can add 1 mana of any color. So with 1 mana of any color, we can pay red for Gutshot, and most importantly, we can pay black for Dismember. So we're not going to take nearly as much damage as we usually do from Dismember because of the luck counter. Yeah, I think this is a really exciting... I can't believe this has been sitting on the backboard for so long. This is a really, really good card. I really encourage a lot more people to be playing and experimenting with this. I think it was a card, we just sort of shrugged off. We never actually played with it. I've played with it now quite a bit, and it's real. It's just real. And it's not super expensive. Get them while they're like $10. But it is definitely, I think it's fantastic. I think Merfolk is the perfect deck for it, because on the draw, we really want to start our curve on turn 1 is fantastic. So much of this deck is in pain because on turn 1 we can't do anything. Like we just go island go, and we can't play Curse Catcher or Dismember or Aether Vial because we have so few 1-drops in the deck. But with Gemstone Caverns, some 5.5% of the time on the draw, we're going to be able to play half our deck on turn 1. And I think that helps a lot. How can you say no to that? Who cares if it's 5.5%? It happens. It's going to happen at least like once a league. Well, not exactly. So like, I don't know, once every 2 leagues. But I think it's serious. I like it a lot. And I'm just pulling that number from somewhere. I don't know the actual percentage of drawing this thing on the draw. Maybe it's higher. Someone out there might know the real percentage. Let me know. Let me know in the comment section below. What are the odds we draw this thing on the draw? And the thing is, it's a little bit more complicated than saying, well, the odds of drawing in a 7-card hand is this, because some percentage of the time we're mulliganing, so you have to account for the mulligan situations as well. So like, I don't know how often we mulligan, maybe like 15% of the time we mulligan, so we get like a redraw to Gemstone Caverns. So that it's 15% of the time we actually look at 13 cards to get Gemstone Caverns. I don't know if it matters, but whatever. Okay, moving on. I'm going to play with 4 Master of Waves. I played with 3 at a time. That was a big mistake. You don't want to do that. I thought, like, well, okay, we're going to play Smuggler's Copter, so we're going to, essentially find some number of Master Waves. Master of Waves is still the best card in the deck, and it is so powerful and so meaningful, even with all the hate, that I think we still want the full 4, and thanks to Smuggler's Copter, we're going to see more than just 4 copies. And the fact that we smooth out our curve and we can play Master Waves on curve, or even whenever we want. With Smuggler's Copter, we can just play out all this stuff, put tons of pressure on our opponents, up to the point where their hand is nothing, and then we play the Master of Waves when it's going to really hurt, and it's protected because our opponent's hand is empty. So, yeah, we're back to 4 Master of Waves. All the best lists have 4 Master of Waves, so I'm up to 4. I'm pretty happy with it. Playing with Kira Great Glass Spinner. I don't... Like, the flex spots here would be the Mararegeries and the Kira. Like, what do you want to do with this? You want to take out 2 Kira and add 2 Dismember? Do you want to take out 2 Mararegery and add 2 Dismember? You can do that. So there's some possibility you can take out some number of Harbingers as well. But I'm going to play without any real disruption. Like, how many things do I... Dismember is, like, fine against Death Shadow, but it's not amazing. Kira is probably better than Dismember against Death Shadow, because after we have Kira out and we follow it up with, like, a Master of Waves, we can just chump block everything. There's no Temur Battle Rage in the Grixis Death Shadow lists. So that's what I'm doing there, and I guess the real spicy thing is Tideshaper Mystic. So this is like the experiment we're going to have today. Tideshaper Mystic is basically target land becomes the basic land type of your choice until end of turn. Activate this ability only during your turn. And what that means is it gives us Island Walk. It's our Spreading Seas on a stick. It's 1 mana for a 1/1 creature, which is great because this deck, you do want, like, it may not be mandatory, but it's nice to have a lot of 1-drops in this deck so that you can guarantee that you can block with Smuggler's Copter once you've played it on turn 2. This thing acts... It's our Spreading Seas, and in some ways it's actually better than Spreading Seas in terms of getting Island Walk. And remember, we're playing Spreading Seas for Island Walk. That's the main reason we're playing Spreading Seas. And Spreading Seas can be undermined by like Flicker Wisp and Ghost Quarter out of Death and Taxes. We don't really need Island Walk out of Valakut decks. We don't need Island Walk out of Blue-White Control. We side out Spreading Seas against Death Shadow. So there's a lot of matchups where Spreading Seas isn't really even positioned. And just having a random creature actually could make a big difference. And it does, even against combo matchups like Storm. Just having a random extra creature helps get in extra damage really early. Curse Catcher is nice, not only because it can counter spells from Storm, but it's an actual dude on the board. We're getting in damage on turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, and that adds up very quickly and helps us close out the game very quickly. And the same thing's going to happen with Tideshaper Mystic. It's very nice against combo decks. The downside is that we lose the Mana Screw plan. That is some percentage of free wins. It's probably going to hurt against Tron. It's probably going to get hurt against Jund, especially since we can't stop Liliana as well, but I also have a feeling that Liliana the Veil is going to be neutered a little bit by Tideshaper Mystic. Although, on the other hand, Liliana the Last Hope is going to get better without Spreading Seas in our deck. So I just want to see how this is going to work. Is it worth what we're giving up with Spreading Seas? To make Smuggler's Copter a little bit better. I could also see a split between Tideshaper Mystic and Spreading Seas. I mean, if you look at a lot of the archetypes that's out right now, Spreading Seas isn't really good. And the thing is, I didn't want my deck to be too heavy on 2-drops. Got Smuggler's, I don't have Dismember in this deck, so we got Smuggler's Copter and Silvergill Adept and Harbinger of the Tides, and I want a little bit few more things to do on turn 1. And so far, it's been perfect. It's done perfectly fine as a means of getting Island Walk. I haven't had any trouble, and sometimes it just gets in extra points of damage that we wouldn't get with Spreading Seas. So we're going into the sideboard. Echoing Truth. So I've given a lot of garbage to Echoing Truth for years. This is the first time you're going to see me play it in Modern. It was never really positioned. It was always a bad Vapor Snag. I mean, when Echoing Truth fails, you never really see it or feel it because Vapor Snag would have just done the job and you never thought about it. And when Echoing Truth doesn't work, I mean, your hand was just a little too clunky and you're like, well, I lost, whatever. But you don't realize that if your Echoing Truth was a Vapor Snag, you probably would have won that game. Why Echoing Truth now? Now, just slowly over time, decks have been moving in a way where Echoing Truth has become better and better. So I haven't played it really against Dredge. I'm assuming it works against Dredge because you can bounce a bunch of prized amalgams all at once. I'm just assuming from word of mouth. Everyone seems to love Echoing Truth against Dredge. That's fine. I think it's very good against Blue-White Control. You can unexpectedly bounce a Gideon, the big Gideon that forces you to attack it, back to your opponent's hand and then kill them on the spot. You can, most importantly, after someone Supreme Verdicts, you can, or does anything that taps out, you can Echoing Truth back their Detention Sphere that has perhaps Master of Waves underneath, or a few Lords that will surprisingly kill them out of nowhere. And worst case scenario, you can just bounce a bunch of creatures to your hand. So if you have 2 Silvergill Adepts on the board and they play Supreme Verdict, you can try to Echoing Truth your Silvergill Adept back to your hand and then replay them and draw cards. Slowly over time, there are more Ensnaring Bridge decks. Ensnaring Bridge is now being found in Burn, which is really annoying. We have a good matchup against Burn, but they're going to shore it up by quite a bit if they're going to be playing with Ensnaring Bridge. I even played against a Boggles opponent playing Worship. You believe that? But thanks to Smuggler's Copter, I was able to dig for my Echoing Truth, and it was beautiful. And Vapor Snag usually is my answer against Worship, but it's not going to be working against Boggles. I have no idea if that guy's list was stock or not, though. What else is Echoing Truth good against? The format has slowed down a lot. If I look a year and a half ago, there's tons of Infect, and there's tons of Death Shadow Zoo and other Zoo variants and Bushwhacker Zoo. Those things are all gone. The format is quite slow. This thing is fine against Grixis Death Shadow, which plays at a pretty slow pace. It's very good against Eldrazi Tron. Even after they assemble Tron, they're only playing one thing a turn. They're playing Reality Smasher, attack you, and I have nothing else to do because my cards cost 4 or more. So Echoing Truth is a lot more playable now than it ever has been before, and I feel like with Blue-White Control and especially Burn now playing Ensnaring Bridge, that this is now over the top. I can't say like Vapor Snag is better. I'm more than willing to play with Echoing Truth. Yeah. But here's the real question. Do we play Echoing Truth or Unsubstantiate? How often do people have like multiple worships in play, multiple ensnaring bridges? Because Unsubstantiate is return target spell to their owner's hand. It doesn't counter. Or return a permanent. So return a permanent back to their hand or return target spell to their owner's hand. So it's a virtual counter. It's like a remand to Supreme Verdict. And also we could bring it in against Storm to counter the flashback of Past in Flames. It has a lot of purposes. So the real question is, do we want Echoing Truth or do we want Unsubstantiate? Also, Unsubstantiate is, I think, fine against Red-Green Valakut. I very often have this, I just need one more turn. Give me one more turn, damn it. Don't play that Primeval Titan. And then they play the Primeval Titan, and then I'm dead. Or I'm going to be dead next turn. Like, already when they hit the battlefield, it's already bad, and then when they attack next turn, it's too late. With Echoing Truth, you can't... Bouncing the Primeval Titan after its land doesn't do anything. It doesn't matter. They're just going to replay it and then do just as much damage as if they had attacked. Whereas if we had to Unsubstantiate, we could buy ourselves just one more turn against Red-Green Valakut. It's a bad matchup, and it's not going to help a ton more, but it's going to help, and it's also going to help in other matchups like Control. Like, Unsubstantiate interacts poorly with Snapcaster Mage because you're just trading a card from in your hand for the card from the sideboard while they have a body on the board. But you know what? If it's countering a Sphinx's Revelation, it's probably going to be worth it. We're going to be playing with Gutshot. I still think this is like the best card that you can possibly have against Affinity, and also gives us some game against Counters Company. Counters Company is not very popular, and I suspect that if we play it, we're just going to have to lose to it. If you don't know why Gutshot is good against it, because I just want to kill the Matador so that it disables their ability to play Court of Calling or Collected Company, because that's the only reason that the combo is so efficient, is because they can just snag all the cards that they need to assemble their combo. And even if they don't go for the infinite mana combo, they could go for the just like Kitchen Finks and Infinite Life combo, which this interacts with anyway. You can Gutshot the Vizier or the Visceraseer. I'm going to play with this spell. It's still good. I don't know if I want this versus, say, Swansong, because Swansong can interact with the Valakut deck. I have to keep thinking about the Valakut deck because it's growing in numbers really big, and we have a really crappy matchup against it. That's why you saw, what's it called? That's why you saw the Unified Wills earlier, because I see it a lot. But Unified Will is so bad against Storm. It's so bad against Blue-White Control. It's so bad. It's just really terrible against a lot of other things in the format that, we're going to play with Negate instead. And 3 Relic of Progenituses. Although this is mostly in here for Storm and Death Shadow. I don't really want to be bringing it in against like Blue-White Control because I'm already going to be shaving these cards. They're bringing in Stony Silence. You really have to respect the card. I have never won against Stony Silence when they played it, and I had a bunch of artifacts in my deck. I think you've even seen it on my channel. There was a game, I had a match against Blue-White Control. Turn 1, Aether Vial, 1 lander, they played Stony Silence, the game was over. And I don't want to put myself in that position. Relic is nice, but not mandatory against Blue-White Control. So I'm trying to shave down to like 4 to 5. Ideally I don't want to have more than 5 artifacts post board, so I'm trying not to dig into Relic of Progenitus against Blue-White Control. If they flashback Sphinx's Revelation, we're just going to have to counter it. So that's the list. I hope you like it. I think it's really exciting, and let's see how it works in a competitive league. Look at that. We got Gemstone Caverns, turn 1, but the hand is trash. Too bad. Just too many lands. And I suspect that, like, in a lot of Aether Vial, Gemstone Cavern hands, I'm actually going to want to pitch Aether Vial, because on turn, I just want to get the game going immediately. We're going to mulligan. Our opponent mulliganed. We can mulligan as well. This hand's good. It's fine. Bit of protection from Thoughtseize or Inquisition. We have 2 Aether Vials. Let's ship this to the bottom. I'm going to try to rely on my Aether Vials. Okay, we're in the mirror. Which means maybe I wanted more Aether Vials. Well, maybe I don't want the land. You know what? Who cares about the land? Because we're not going to give our opponent Island Walk. That's what we're going to do. Murinator. Swing and a pass. Tide Shaper Mystic. Fortunately, we're going to be able to unload all of these 1-drops. We're going to have a pretty good start, I think. And so long as we draw gas, like these Ether Vials are going to really add up. What is going on here? Well, I didn't expect that. That was the last thing I was expecting. Okay, so we're up against what's very likely to be Coco. What is this? Creatures don't untap during their controller's untap step. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, untap all creatures. Okay, so that's easy enough. Some sort of combo deck? I don't know what's going on. I thought I knew what was going on. So what are we sending out? I guess the Curse Catcher. That's awkward, so you can keep adding mana with this thing, is what it's telling me. Yes, and yes. Those are Gemstone Caverns. Unfortunately, we don't have anything to play off of it. So, like, I'm not exactly sure what I want, what I need to make happen, but because this is such an unusual situation, but I feel like I want to get my creatures in at the upkeep so that my opponent doesn't untap their Noble Hierarch. And before blocks, we'll put a Master of the Pearl Trident in play. I put the Curse Catchers in place so that just in case they want to do something to... Oh my god, my creatures have Vigilance! This is insane! Vigilance creatures, that's awesome. Okay, we'll play our Gemstone Caverns. And we'll pass, I guess. If this isn't a Merfolk deck, I might steamroll them because the Lord of Atlantis is going to take over the game real quickly. So this is where I want to play maybe Tide Shaper Mystic. Honestly, I don't know when I'm supposed to play any of these cards. Because if I play it at end of turn, then my opponent will get, like, Noble Hierarch trigger. Like, they'll be able to add more mana with Noble Hierarch. I'm either going to win very easily, or I'm going to lose to something stupid. That's the way I'm looking at it right now. But our opponent's running out of cards. This has to be Merfolk. The name is very familiar. Murinator. Murinator. That is a Merfolk name. The avatar is mostly blue. What is going on here? I thought I had the Merfolk deck that was going over the deep end. Oh, we don't know this is a Merfolk deck. Like, I don't see any Merfolk out of here. So, my opponent just might, like, resign. Based on that. It's like, well, I don't want to show them my Merfolk deck, so I'm going to resign here. Because, I mean, if they do, I am not sure. I am not sure of anything right now, to be honest. I see an Ether Vial, I see a Noble Hierarch, my opponent's played 3 lands, Intruder Alarm, does not attack. Holy moly. So I'm going to set both of these on 2 so that in the event that I draw a Silvergill Adept, I can... well, I guess I could cast it off of Cavern of Souls. I'm going to keep this island in my hand for... well, first off, if we're up against a Merfolk deck, we might want to do that. And if we're up against... and if I draw Smuggler's Copper, I'm going to want to cast it. I don't know what can happen, so I'm just going to attack for 6 right now. I'll attack with the Curse Catchers and the Tide Shaper Mystic. Like, this is a situation, I don't know what I'm supposed to play around. Okay, so this guy's going to put something in play. I don't know what this is. Create a 1/1 white human creature, Fateful Hour. As long as you have 5 or less life, other creatures you control get +2/+2. So the idea is this an infinite combo? Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, untap all creatures. Create a 1/1 white human creature token. So this thing has summoning. This is a combo. So this thing has summoning sickness, which means next turn they can make an infinite number of creatures and then kill us the next turn. And now I'm thinking, do I want to put Lord of Atlantis in play? Maybe? But it would just put another... okay, it doesn't... I can't play around Intruder Alarm. It would just put another version of Intruder Alarm on the stack. It doesn't change anything. Intruder Alarm would go on the stack. It would resolve. Noble Hierarch untaps. Then you could add mana, and then the second version of Intruder Alarm resolves. Okay, what's going on here? Quarter Calling? This deck is so weird. Maybe he's going to... well, the creature's tapped, so he's definitely has Chord... no, but he can't Chord. Oh no, he can Chord. So he's got Chord Calling. Is he going to look for something that grants haste? Did he take damage yet from Yavimaya Coast? No, he has now. Okay, so I have the option to counter this. What can he get for 2? Like, I can't play around this because I don't know what it is that he wants. But so he searches for 2. So the real question is, can I kill him if I put Lord of Atlantis in play? I would hit him for 6, and then next turn I can hit him for just 9. And that doesn't kill him. And I have to kill him because this is a combo on the board. He's gonna tap it. He puts a 1/1 human creature token onto the battlefield. Intruder Alarm untaps him. Yeah, and then it keeps doing. So I can't counter this with the Curse Catcher. I can't reliably. I don't think I can win because he is threatening lethal against me. Not this turn, but the turn after this. Steward of Sands. Exert. Okay, so it's another infinite creature combo. But that doesn't kill me. And he's empty-handed, so he needs to draw something that will relevantly grant haste to all his creatures. Because he can put an infinite number of creatures on the board, but that's all he can do. He can't attack with them next turn. All he can do is attack me for 8. And maybe that's what he's going to do. No, okay. Concedes. What do I have that can interact with this? Well, Echoing Truth can bounce all those creatures, so that's something. Gut Shot interacts with that. Oh, no, he's a 2/2 creature. They're both 2/2s. It can kill Noble Hierarch. I don't know how important those things are. Tide Shaper Mystic does not look like it's where we want to be for this matchup, but neither would Spreading Seas be good. The rest of it looks fine. Kira might not be useful, but I don't know what else he might have stuff that targets stuff in his deck. We're going to bring in Echoing Truth. Bring in Dispel, because I'm sure he's got Collected Company and Court of Calling, and we'll bring in some Gut Shots. I think that's the best I can do. I don't know how good or bad Master Waves is in this matchup, because I've never played this matchup before. Let's shave one Master Waves for a Gut Shot. I have a feeling if we nailed this Noble Hierarch, and I don't know, he's probably playing with like also, well, I have no idea what this guy's playing with. I'm guessing. I'm just guessing. I guess if you're playing with Noble Hierarch and Aether Valley, then you're not playing with Birds of Paradise. So I'll mulligan this. That hand's fine. Now the new card's in here. We'll put this on the bottom. Now this is where I do want to draw lands to empty my hand of 2 drops. You got Aether Vial? I got Aether Vial. I got 2 Aether Vials again. But these are like always the worst hands against combo decks, just like generic creatures. It's not where you want to be. You want interaction against combo. That's nice. Curse Catcher's perfectly fine. Here's Forbidden Orchard, another sexy tech. So what is this? Birds of Paradise. So at their upkeep, I'm actually going to flash in Curse Catcher. I don't want my opponent to play a land and be able to play Collected Company, if that's something that's in their deck. And also just to make Court of Calling just a little bit weaker in general as well. Maybe I spoke too soon about siding out Tideshaper Mystic. Our opponent is sandbagging lands. Or they're just not drawing them. I guess we're going to start casting things. Show the Silvergill Adept. Just going to get a little bit more information before I do anything. So that means this Mirror Reader is probably not going to get ticked up. Or maybe it will if I want to be incredibly aggressive. So what kind of 2-drops they can play? They can play the Solidarity card. What else can they play? I have no idea. I don't know what other 2-drop they can play. I'm gonna attack with the Curse Catcher anyway. We've got Lords. I can beat most Grizzly Bears. And I think that's all I'm gonna do. If I can vial in a Silvergill Adept, then that's what I'm gonna do. Draw more cards. Get more information about how to use my Aether Vials and my lands. So my opponent's adding a bunch of mana. I get like creatures, right? We got a Spirit. I'm definitely love spirits. Oh boy. We are definitely vialing a Master of the Pearl Trident into play. Not even going to give you the option. It's too dangerous. So that's interesting. We get the spirits, but the Static Caster has control over it. So we're going to be really safe with this Mirror in play. Okay, Steward of Solidarity. The combo is being assembled. What do I call this deck? Intruder Alarm? And for 3 mana, our opponent can play the 2 mana guy that creates creatures. They're going to play this on their main phase. Now there is a Static Caster, so I lose everything. This is terrible. So I get like 1 turn to do something. I need 2 Lords immediately. We're going to keep this on 2 because I can cast the or no, maybe we could take 1 up to 3. I think we have to take on up to 3. Just in case I draw another Mirror Reachery, I think it's my only way of getting both of them into play. Silver Gill Adept in play. Hopefully draw a Merfolk or a Lord. Any Lord will do. No Lord. Guess the best I can do is just attack for a ton. Force them to kill my other Merfolk. Please block my Mutavault. Please. By all means, do so. I like that he blocked the Silver Gill Adept because that was an easy target for the Izzet Staticasters. Much harder to beat would be if they block the Curse Catcher. I'm just going to leave the Vial in my hand because I have enough Vials on the board. Just more food for a hypothetical Smuggler's Copter, which would be good on this board. It would be good. We keep at, like, these Izzet Staticasters can snipe one thing at a time. Steward of Solidarity is back. I'm going to lose the Merfolk. I'm going to lose a lot more afterwards. I'm not going to lie, we're in really bad shape here. This is terrible. You have another Izzet Staticaster? Oh, okay. Eternal Witness. Maybe Echoing Truth is not actually going to do anything. This guy's weird. They're playing completely at sorcery speed. No and no. Do you want to be good right now? Master of Waves. Master of Waves would be pretty good. I could live with that. Don't know what to do, to be honest. Send all my guys in? No, I think holding on to Master Waves is good, but let us send in... Maybe send in nothing. I don't know what to do. These draws are not helping me. One is it Staticaster we can beat, but two is very, very hard. And I don't have Dismember in my deck. We're bringing back Kira. We're bringing Kira back, that's for sure. We're going to get rid of those Gut Shots. Gut Shot might be reasonable, but... Jeez, this deck is just crazy. So it's playing back. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield this turn, you may draw a card. So this guy's going off. They're going to be able to draw at least... They're going to draw 2 cards this turn at the very least. What else could happen? I'm starting to believe that this deck does not have Collected Company, but I'm still not sure. We have such a small picture of what this thing actually does. That's crazy. With the back, you draw a card with this thing too. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield this turn, you draw a card. And now our opponent is going to go off. They now have Infinite because of Steward of Solidarity. Something's going to come into play, so they can draw infinite cards. I might as well just like F6 it here. They can put infinite number of creatures in play and draw infinite cards. This is a weird combo, especially since like stuff like this is... it's probably going to cantrip most of the time, so it's not that bad. Using our own Ether Vial against us is rough. There's not our own Ether Vial, but using Ether Vial in this sort of deck is rough. For us. I didn't think it was like an Ether Vial deck, but now it apparently is an Ether Vial deck. because you can play back and then start playing creatures. I doubt this guy's going to show us any more cards, but maybe he will. Like, maybe there's something in the deck that will give haste to everything that I don't know about, and I'm going to play on to see it. They have infinite mana with... Okay, so they have infinite everything. Infinite creatures, infinite mana, infinite draw cards. So let's see what they do with it. They might have Kiki Jiki in their deck. That would also work. Kiki Jiki. So there's the Court of Calling. They got the Kiki Jiki. I've been able to piece this deck together slowly. What do you do if this Kiki Jiki is in your hand, though? What do you do? So some things I'm looking for right now is like, how effective is Gut Shot? Gut Shot's probably okay. I don't know if it's bananas amazing. Like, how easy is it to get that red mana? They've got 4 Birds of Paradise, 4 Ether Vial. They've showed us a lot of land that does not produce red mana. The only thing is Forbidden Orchard. Whenever you add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Give your guy a dude. Oh, what fun this must be for our opponent. I'm going to play it out. I want to see other cards. That's why you play it out. I mean, you know you're dead. And our opponent most certainly could have just passed the turn. But of course, this is just a little bit better because, you know, they will kill us this turn. But it's still information. It's still information we need to know. Or would like to know. At least we can, like, interact with most of the stuff because through Harbinger of the Tides, almost everything taps. Or does it? So if Intruder Alarm is on the board, and we try... If Intruder Alarm is on the board, we can probably bounce nothing. Because there will be 2 triggers when they enter the battlefield, but the player who has priority is going to get theirs stacked on the bottom first, and our opponent is going to have all their triggers stacked on top. So when we play Harbinger of the Tides, Intruder Alarm is going to trigger as well, and that thing's going to resolve first. Their creatures are going to untap, and then we can't actually bounce anything. So Harbinger is only good if Intruder Alarm is not on the board. Opponent got to put all the cards from their graveyard back on top of their deck. So let's make a better sideboard. Okay, Kira's coming back in. That was dangerous. I'm going to bring Master Waves back in. We'll take out the Gut Shots. Is this spell really needed? Counters Court of Calling. I don't know what else in the deck, though, it counters. And I sort of would like to have Tideshaper Mystic. The deck is capable of putting a lot of dudes on the board. I still sort of want Gut Shot in this deck. Whatever. Okay, so how good is Echoing Truth? Probably not very good. It probably just buys us 1 turn. So maybe that's what I can replace with Gut Shot. Or Tideshaper Mystic. I'm going to go with Gut Shot. I like Gut Shot. I'm a Gut Shot guy. I love Gut Shot. Yes, I'd like to play first. This hand's not great, but it has Smuggler's Copter, followed up by Kira. But it doesn't have a lot of power, and we are up against essentially a combo deck. We need a lot more. I know this thing can loop, but it's really slow. If I had a 1-drop, I'd keep this, but I think this is a little too much. We can keep this. This is fine. Master Waves into Master Waves will help, and we'll put that card on top. Harbinger of the Tides might be able to bounce a creature on turn something. On turn 3. Because certainly on this turn we're going to get some damage too because of the Spirit. Let's do this properly. Let's attack first. Play Master of the Pearl Tridents. Noble Hierarch. We're going to get in for a decent chunk of damage here. Yeah, let's do it. Hopefully this Orchard kills our opponent. I don't think it's a... I'm going to play Mutavault because I don't think there's a 0% chance I don't attack with it. Normally I like to hold up the Mutavault just in case there's a 0%, like if I know for sure I'm not going to attack with this thing. But there's some chance our opponent plays like Island and we draw, say, Lord of Atlantis, and I'm just going to want to attack with the Mutavault and the Master of the Pearl Trident and Harbinger of the Tides. And put our opponent in a situation to die next turn. Oh no! Okay, so that one Izzet Staticaster is online. Fortunately, only one. With Master of Waves, our opponent can generate an insane... Wow, you know what? If our opponent plays Intruder Alarm, they can generate so much mana because of Master of Waves. Because for each creature that enters the battlefield, they can like add 2 mana. They can just chord for just a bazillion. I'm just going to play Master of Waves. I'll do this now just in case any of my creatures die in combat somehow. Oh, you have Cryptic Command. And let's send Harbinger of the Tides and the Spirits in. This deck is very greedy on mana. Super greedy. Is it Staticaster? That's fine, because we're going to play our second Master of Waves, which is going to get around that. Unless they have 2, then that's still a problem. They'll still kill all of them if our opponent has 2 Izzet Staticasters. Our opponent opts to kill the Spirit for some reason. Okay. Now if our opponent plays Intruder Alarm, I guess we just lose because our opponent's going to make infinite creatures. And we have no way of making Island Walk. It's awkward, but you know, we very easily can lose to this janky deck. I'm going to draw a card. They're going to draw a few cards. They already have a few cards in hand. It's stuff to empty on the battlefield. That's pretty good. Look at that. Dryad Arbor with buyback. I have a feeling this is a very weird looking deck, but it has something real to it. If I could do something again, I would definitely... Like, this thing could have been the Tideshaper Mystic. Tideshaper Mystic might be better than Curse Catcher in this matchup, because our opponent has a lot more non-basic sources of mana than I expected. A lot more. Get Beck and Call again. Make more things again. Hooray! We got to take a turn. I guess I'm just going to trade this Harbinger of the Tides for an Eternal Witness and a Warrior token. I have to get through these tokens to some degree anyway. I think our opponent just chump blocks. Okay. How am I to sideboard against this deck? That is such a good question. Probably Dismember is just good. And do we just lose here? Pretty sure we just lose. Is it Static Caster is going to shoot one of the elementals? Actually, I have a feeling maybe... Like, Is it Static Caster is a very good card against us in general. And to be put in this sort of deck just makes it, like, ridiculous. And it's just unfortunate our opponent has had Is it Static Caster several times now. Or they had 2 of them in game 2. And as far as I can see it, we're going to lose everything else. Because we're going to lose all our elemental tokens. And we have no way of getting through any of these creatures, because I didn't give myself an option to. To be very objective, though, I think we got, like, pretty unlucky. Our opponent had Vile in all the games and had Mana Dorks in all the games, and we didn't draw Gutshot in any of those games. The deck looks incredibly fragile. If they don't have Ether Vile and they just play off their Mana Dorks and we kill one of them, I think they're in a lot of trouble. For example, they're going to be forced to play more than these lands. They've been able to play around Spreading Seas because they have Ether Vile out. So I think we've just been up against our opponent's better draws, like way better draws, and we've just had very uninteractive hands. And now we're just going to die to the Kiki Restoration and Angel combo, which is fine. Yeah, okay, so that's enough. That was game 1. That was game 1. Copter Folk versus this thing. Copter would have been great. Just fantastic in this game. We didn't draw it though. We didn't draw it. We weren't able to play it. We got brick-walled very early in the game, and it would have helped us dig for stuff that we need. It would help us dig for Gutshot. Yeah, our opponent had very good hands. We had like very mediocre hands, but that's just how it is. And it's very, very interesting new deck. I wonder where this deck came from. I've played against Intruder Alarm decks, but they were mostly elf decks. This is a completely new thing. So anyway, that was our first round against Intruder Alarm. I'm going to thank all my patrons supporting me on Patreon. I'm also going to thank my sponsor, themanabase.com, for being our sponsor. This has been Nikachu, playing Copter Folk in Modern.